Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the likety like button on the way in, especially when the majority of you voted for a live tonight. So I'm giving you a live, crew, okay? Giving you a live tonight for our review on this Ratchet show. Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup, Season 6, Episode 16. We're in a bad situation. Of course, all of them are in a bad situation. I'm rating this episode a B plus. I would say it was pretty good. I don't think it's an A, but it was a B plus. But when I tell you all the gaslighting and nonsense on this episode, OMG. All right, I see the OGs in here. I see all of the OG crew members. Make sure y'all hit the like button on the way in. And let's get started, okay? Let's get started with Latisha, aka Latifa, aka LaKlepto, and Keith. All right. Um, Look, I'm sorry. That daughter, the oldest daughter alone, I'm uncomfortable watching their segment. Every single time I am uncomfortable. I don't get it. And from my understanding, she said in the past that it's because she doesn't like being on camera. Then why would you have her on camera? I think it's deeper than that. I think this girl seriously is showing you that she is not interested in having this freaking man in her house. And then not only are you trying to have this man in her house, you gonna break it down to them that it's gonna be the man and potentially his sons in the house. When I tell you Latisha LaKlepto, she don't care about nobody but herself and her happiness. That little girl looks so depressed. She didn't even want to bowl. She threw that freaking bowling ball like she wanted to throw it at her mama. She wished that was her mama's head. Okay? Like, seriously, at this point, it's uncomfortable to even watch her. So she looks at her mom like, well, doesn't matter what I think, because of course her mother was asking them how school was and what they thought about going out and going bowling that night. And of course, the little girl who keeps calling Keith her daddy is so excited. Meanwhile, her oldest daughter is like, yeah, I don't care. I don't want to do it. When they go out, at that point, the mother wants to break it down to the daughters that potentially the sons are going to move into. And then what I don't like is she's trying to gain their sympathy by saying pretty much they need to share their space because these kids are in a bad situation. No, they don't need to share their space. They don't need to share their space until they feel comfortable. And if they don't feel comfortable, not just one daughter, but both of them, then you need to separate them until possibly she feels comfortable. But LaKlepto Latifa don't care. She don't care. We saw her smile this episode from a previous picture with her and her sister and her mama, and her laughing at her mother's reaction when she threw that bowling ball. That is it, and that is all. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Even Keith asked her a question like, you don't like bowling? And she was like, I don't like bowling. And he was like, well, what do you like to do? She says, sleep. Baby, that's a sign of depression. When all you want to do is sleep, you're depressed. And she just keeps going on like, well, she'll accept you once she gets to know you. Ma'am, what if she never accepts him? How about you allow her to accept him before he moves in? But again, we've seen this time and time again where women want their happiness before their own kids. But the daughter is making it cringy for me at this point. She's making it cringy for me at this point. I got to pray for that little girl because something ain't right. Something is not right. So they end up going to court because he's trying to get custody of his one child. And I'm like, good luck with that. I didn't even see why they even bothered so soon after his release. And lo and behold, the court said, no, sir, you're unemployed. You just got out of jail. And your wife is an entrepreneur, aka unemployed klepto. And she got cases against her. Allegedly, apparently, court records. And y'all think y'all about to get custody of a child? Let him stay with your pappy. Let him stay with your pappy. On top of that, did y'all hear that Keith got ghetto twins? His sons is 4 days apart. And then his daughter literally was born while he was in prison. Boy, focus on other things besides your veneers. This just does not make any sense at all whatsoever. And I feel like them being on this show is just strictly a money grab at the expense of these kids, especially that oldest child. She is struggling on the inside. She's struggling. And I don't like it. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. It really makes me feel uncomfortable. And so at that point, I'm going to move on to the next couple. Justine and Michael. So she goes shopping for a wedding dress before there's even a date or a venue. And we find out that she's been married before to the son's father for 10 years. Sweetheart, the wedding should be the last thing you're worried about. Focus on a strong marriage. That should be the only requirement, especially when you've been married before. She always wants to make excuses too. She was married before, she was young, she was dumb. Girl, you want all of the bling and all of the looks of everything, but you don't want to put in the work. That includes the work with your own mother or lack thereof. So at that point, she mentions when she actually is trying on wedding dresses, her body issues. Now, mind you, she just had another baby. She had back-to-back babies. She had... Child, let me say these babies' names. As beautiful as they are, it is very hard for me to say their names without Manhattan Barbie and Million. She had them back to back. So, of course, naturally, she has the baby weight. Her body is not in the shape of what it used to be. And that's perfectly fine. She has to just work on it. But she says that her body issues, okay, she said her body issues came from her mama. Because she said when she was dancing, you know, her mother put pressure on her to stay in shape. And she had to be, you know, perfect as far as, you know, making sure she had to have a certain look to, you know, win competitions. So now she has a perfection complex. And I'm going to need for you to stop blaming your mama for everything. And here's why. First of all, where's your daddy? Where's your daddy? See, you know, you always want to blame your mama for everything, but you lacking a father, definitely you have your issues there. But furthermore, when it comes to dance, singing, anything in the entertainment industry, your parents are not the only ones who are telling you to stay on top of stuff. I would not put it past if her own teachers, her instructors, even fellow dancers, even competitors, they all made her have a complex. That is the nature of the business. So stop blaming your mama for everything. You have that from a lot of people who probably told you to keep your weight down because of dancing. And furthermore, you probably have a complex because you have no father. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about you not having a father, because she did mention that her mother was a single mother. And she said that her mother was financially there for her, but not emotionally there. But you know what the problem with that is, Justine? You're telling everybody else except your mama. That's the problem. How do you expect to have a good relationship with your mammy and you're not even willing to tell her how you feel? So at that point, and I'll say that I said this, I think the last review or the review before, she ends up talking to her mother-in-law And of course, she wants the mother-in-law to watch those babies. Didn't I tell you she wasn't about to take those babies to New York? It's just too much and so much going on. Can you watch the kids? No. No, she shouldn't have to watch the kids. Those are your kids. You decided to have them back to back. But of course, they was going to have a straight up babysitter. So then at that point, the stepmom, the mother-in-law is like, well, what is the issue between you and Sherry? She doesn't really give an explanation. But what I do know is she said that she hasn't spoke to her mother since Million was born, and that's been 4 months. No way in the world. No way in the world I could go without talking to my mother for 4 months. It just, what? 4 months? And again, she's not really explaining why she's so toxic, her mother. She's not really explaining that. But she's so toxic that financially she still has your back and literally bought that house for you. If you are really trying to set boundaries, stop using her for money. It's simple. Or better yet, be an adult and have an adult conversation. So here she is. She ends up calling her mom because I guess she's trying to invite her mother to the wedding. But this is how she calls her. Hey, what's up? Yeah, so Mike and I are having a wedding again. I just wanted to know if you're coming. I'm sorry, was that an invite? And her mother even had the chuckle and say, well, this is the first time I'm hearing about this, Justine. Like, I don't even know when it is. Oh, okay, we're probably going to do it in summertime. And, me and Mike are going to come to New York within a couple of days. So I wanted to know if you'll meet us out there. And the mother's like, I have to check my schedule. But you can't keep telling me stuff. You can't tell me stuff at the last minute. And then she starts to cry. Why are you crying? Your mother has a life. Your mother probably is still working. You tell your mother that you're going to be in New York within a couple of days. Your mother doesn't live in New York. I believe you said she lives in Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think she lives in that state. That means you're telling her she should stop everything she's doing in the next couple of days, tell a job and everything else just to come and see you. It just makes no sense to me at all whatsoever. But you're telling production and the camera how your mother has made you feel. So when she cries, even her mother's like, are you there? Are you there? And she was like, yeah. And so her mother even says, what's the matter? Because you don't have to do the New York thing or the East Coast thing. What's the matter? And she was like, nothing. Okay, well, you know what, Justine? I can't feel sorry for you anymore. It would be one thing if you put on your big girl panties, finally said, Mom, I want to have a real conversation with you, not just mother to daughter, but adult to adult, because we both are moms now, on just some issues I've had since I was a child. And if you can actually talk to her with respect and tell her how you feel, maybe you could get somewhere. Now, if she completely disregards how you feel, that's one thing. But see, the problem with Justine is, in my personal opinion, the problem with Justine is that she doesn't want to have that conversation because her mother's going to come back with the things that Justine has done to break her mother's heart and disappoint her. She doesn't want to have that conversation. She just wants her mother to hear everything that she feels about her mother, and her mother is not going to have that one-on-one conversation. Maybe her mother couldn't be emotionally available that much because she was too busy being a single mom. I don't know the mother. Like, I feel like the mother's just tired of her. She's tired of every time she's trying to pick up the pieces for Justine, she ends up going down the same path. I think the mother's just tired. But yet your mother bought this $500,000 plus house for you for your kids. So again, if you want to draw the line, stop reaching out financially to your mother. But you can't. So at the end of the day, I feel like Justine's issue is that her communication skills suck. Maybe she even learned that from her mother. Or maybe she wants to blame everything on her mother because really her serious issue is Where's my daddy? That may be where the real issue is. And she has always tried to find daddy love through men. How about talk about that? How about you go to counseling? Because I'm over this. I'm over you claiming that you have so many issues with your mother, but you are not willing to be a woman and talk to your mother about it. Like, let's keep it 100 at this point. I'm tired of it, but at the end of the day, I feel like the mother will also tell her, okay, but these are my issues with you. Because Justine has been having kids since she was literally in high school. She had that first child, her daughter, I believe, when she was in school. She had that baby on her hip when she was in her graduation gown. I believe we saw that. So your mother's tired. Your mother is tired. And a lot of parents, even if they love their kid, will cut them straight off so they can learn. But your mother keeps picking up the pieces, probably because she cares about her grandkids. But that invite was a piss poor invite. Hey, me and Mike, we're going to have a wedding. Just going to see if you's going to come. That's an invite? Really? Girl, I would have said, okay, well, when you really willing to give me a real invite, you call me back. Until then, I got to go. I have to keep paying your mortgage. So, moving on. Paul Bunyan, Will, and Courtnee. OMG. So, okay. We have, it's not my fault. You can't trust me because you're insecure. Oh, her gaslighting was absolutely amazing on this, honey. And here's my problem. Like I told you guys, the last review, yeah, he kept arguing with her because he still wants her. Baby, if you done, you done. Sign these papers, and if you don't want to sign these papers, I will make the court force you to sign these papers. But all of that back and forth about how he was saying you don't want to be married, and then he keeps claiming that the ring is actually real. Will, we don't believe it, baby. Okay, we just look. She's not even worth a real ring, so just tell her the truth. You got that ring from a Cracker Jack box, honey. There's no paperwork, okay? Or maybe you got it off of Amazon or Temu, but there's no paperwork. But he's like, it's real, and I don't need to give you any paperwork because I don't need the paperwork. And if I do have paperwork, that's on me. It is, but honestly, I would just simply tell her it's a fake ring because it's a fake relationship. But with that, of course, she even says, where's the paperwork at? Where's the paperwork? And he doesn't have anything to say. So then at that point, she's like, you don't care about me. All you do is tell me how I'm nothing and how I'm always messing up. And he's like, I tell you every day. I tell you every day how proud I am of you. No, you don't, Will. No, you don't. I'm watching a soap opera. All my children beyond the gates, I'm watching a soap opera at this point. This back and forth, I was over it. I really was. She calls him a straight up B.I.B.I. when she was walking in the house too. Baby, look, Will, I don't even know why you wasting your time. He gets so upset after that back and forth. This fool has a nervous breakdown in his car and has to pull over. We find out he has a lot of stuff going on. He has his work issues, and then we find out that his father has dementia and cancer, and he is literally trying to be there for his mom and also process the fact that he's about to lose his father. And here he is dealing with this fool who is not even in this relationship for the right reason. She is using him. But then, after saying all of that, he sits up there and says, but I'm afraid to go on without Courtnee. And even in that moment of us arguing, we have the wildest chemistry, and I wanted to kiss her so badly. Will, you're toxic as well. Yeah. The fact that she called you a bia, she literally pretty much said in so many ways, like she's always said, you're not financially there for her, so therefore you're not there. And the fact that you saw that moment as wild chemistry, yeah, something's wrong with you two. And then he says in the confessional right next to her, we both said some horrible things to each other, but if she really loves him like he loves her, she's hurting as much as he is. And this girl straight up laughs in his face. And it was one of them evil Knievel type of laughs. Like every bit of demon came out of her when she laughed at that. And you could tell he wanted to cry in that moment. He was like, wow. Yeah, I don't see anything funny about this. I really don't. I don't see anything funny about it. And he gets up and he literally walks out like he about to go cry in his car again. And she sits up there with I don't care. Yeah, yeah, she didn't care. She had that look on her face like, whatever. Are you going to give me money so I can survive? That's it. That's all. So then at that point, she ends up calling her mother, telling her mother that Will wants her to sign divorce papers. And of course, the mother's like, well, you know what? You should. Y'all rushed into this. You need to do some soul searching. Okay. And I would say you put on an outfit, you get your hair done, comb your hair, whatever, sign those papers, and be done with it. Now, interesting enough, Will wants her to meet him at his hotel. Child, the bondage and the divorce papers will be waiting. Yes. They won't be able to touch any more surfaces in that room either. So with that being said, I'm moving on to, okay, Bianca and Daniel, y'all may have a difference of opinion on this, but yeah, y'all already know I'm gonna keep it all the way real in this situation. Daniel had this planned, and I'm gonna say it straight up out. He had this plan. In my opinion, this was his plan from the beginning. So of course, when he gets out of the car, everything is Bianca's fault. And I think he takes advantage of the fact that Bianca came off bratty and very annoying the last season. And he is taking advantage of this situation. He ends up saying that he needs to walk home. He gets home. He's banging stuff around in the dishwasher like a child. Like a straight up child, because let's be clear, that was very childish. Like you're purposely trying to annoy this girl. And you know what he's trying to do? He's trying to get her to leave Arizona and also leave, because he ended up revealing what he really got going on later on in the episode. So she comes out and she's like, why are you banging stuff around? And Daniel ends up ignoring her when she tries to have a conversation. And then he goes into his room and he's acting like he's gaming or with everything else. And he's cussing and fussing at her. I don't care what the situation is. You don't need to talk to her that way. And the reality is, I feel like he was using her from the beginning, period. And he reveals that, in my opinion. So she's like, look, okay, I'm done. You won't even have a conversation with me. You're treating me like I'm crap or whatever the case may be. And he's like, I've been feeling this way from the beginning. I'm over it. And so at that point, she was like, you know what, whatever, fine. So the next time we see them, he's driving, I guess, home from work or maybe getting some drinks or whatever. And he said that Bianca was supposed to go out with her friend. And he's like, well, at least she's going out with someone, because I can't be her only friend. But when he gets home, she's at home, literally on her bed, rubbing on her cat. And so at that point, he was like, oh, I thought you were supposed to be going out. Why are you here? And she was like, because I didn't want to go out. And he was like, why not? And she was like, maybe because I'm sad and depressed. And he was like, what are you sad and depressed about? And she was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, are you serious? Like, if I'm dealing with you and your craziness and the way that you're talking to me, like I haven't done things for you." And I'm not saying that's the end all be all, but let's be clear. He would not be on his feet right now if it wasn't for Bianca. And everybody knows that, because if that's the case, sir, you should have been staying with your parents. So at that point, he's like, well, I mean, you're always upset. You're always mad about something. Like, I think he even said something like, you don't even like yourself or whatever. And then at that point, he ends up fussing and cussing. And one thing that she said that stood out to me was like, she said, then leave. Why did you sign another lease? If you know what I'm saying, you didn't want to be with me, why did you sign another lease? And I think I said that in one of the first reviews that I did. Why are you signing another lease with this girl when it was so toxic last season? Well, I'll tell you why. He needed the money from this show. That's one. Because remember, he was just getting out the last season. So he probably, if he did get paid, he didn't get paid as much versus this season. And he admits in this episode, it is hard for him to find a place because he's a felon. Therefore, AKA, I used her because she doesn't have any felonies and she's the one who actually has the money. So then she says, he's been working for 5 months, but I'm the one who paid the rent last month. In other words, Daniel has been working, but he hasn't been paying the rent. Then he says, yeah, I'm a felon. It's hard for me to find a place. If anybody should leave, it should be Bianca. This is a really nice place. I can quickly get somebody to move in here with me. I sure can. She can live anywhere, so she should be the one who moves out. Baby, if y'all didn't see all of the signs that this man was plotting this from the beginning, and he is trying to disrespect her to the utmost, literally disrespect her, do whatever he can so that she can leave. And when she walks out of the apartment, he says the trash took out itself. Mind you, she's been paying for him. I think Daniel had this planned, you guys. And as much as I can't stand Bianca, I feel that, look, Daniel is just as toxic and annoying, period. He is a problem. And honestly, if I was Bianca, I would break that lease and then let that actual apartment complex force him to leave too. Straight up. Okay, you want me to leave? Let me break this lease. And then you try to get a lease on your own. Okay? And then see how well you can do without me. But the fact that he said, I can't find a place, because I'm a felon, and then said, yeah, she should leave. I mean, I can easily have somebody move in here with me. This is a really nice place. Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to afford that really nice place if it wasn't for her. So, yeah. Sorry, you guys. And in this particular episode, I was seeing it a little bit before, but this one I said, oh, this was your plan. This was what it was all along, in which there was an age gap too. Because remember, we was like, why are you in your 30s? You've been in prison for this long, dealing with this young 20-something-year-old girl. This has been the plan. He probably knew she got a settlement. She wasn't working, so she had enough money to just take care of herself and be off of that settlement. And he said, hey, show money and her settlement money, I'll be able to be okay for a minute until I'm ready to get rid of her. Y'all let me know if it's different. If y'all feel something different. I feel Daniel had this plan. How can he sign a lease if he's a felon? Something tells me that she may be the primary maybe on the lease, because he wouldn't have been able to probably do that lease on his own, especially because he just started working. He only has 5 months of employment and that record. She is the reason why he has been able to get that place. And what he is hoping is she would just leave it to him and he can just have someone move in. And I hope she's not that stupid. I hope she's not that stupid. So, as far as I see it, Daniel, you deserve everything that's coming to you because what you did was you used that girl. And now I'm starting to see that a lot of her complaining could be the fact that, of course, her own insecurities and all the other stuff that she got going on, she really thought that you loved her and she just wanted you to love her and you were shutting her out on purpose so then she could just leave and feel so disrespected that she would just go back to Florida and you can have the benefits of what she provided to you. So yeah, my opinion, he's a user. And I know some people have this mentality, well, if people are willing to be used, use them up. While I understand that, you also have to be mindful that what you do comes back to you. And yeah, from my understanding, I think somebody had even mentioned that he could have been already back in prison. I don't know if he's already there, but what I do know is if he does go back, I don't like see no one in prison, but I do feel like he used that girl, and maybe that would be his ultimate karma. So with that being said, I'm gonna move on to Brooke and JK. Brooke JK. Brooke JK. Hoocha. Let's get started with my countryness. Let's get started with my countryness. So she's outside still, of course, talking to him about, yeah, I was talking to you, girl. I talking to your girl. You know what I'm saying? Did you ever? Did you end up getting her pregnant? And even in his high stupor, he's like, no, no, you know what I'm saying? No, no, you know what I'm saying? And so she like, you sound like you effed up. You know what? I'm over this. I'm tired of this or whatever. I'm about to go. F you. So then she sits up there and she's talking about how he sounds like he is high in the sky. He's denying everything. And she literally says before she hangs up, you sound effed up. Get your life together. Be a real man. Meanwhile, she can't keep a job. What about you being a real woman and a real mother, ma'am? Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy how pot kettle, like, none of y'all got y'all stuff together. Y'all all looking like y'all in freaking trap houses. I'm really lost in this situation. But with that being said, so then at that point, one thing about this girl that I just really don't understand is the blatant disrespect on how she talks to elders, like people who are old enough to be her parents. The way she be dropping the little swearing bombs all over the place, how she talks to his mama, how she talked to her mama, how she talked to his stepdaddy. She calls and she's like, hey, I got the test results because she ended up getting her test results back. She was like, talking to the mama, are you at home? She's like, yeah. She was like, is your son there? She was like, yeah. Okay, well, how about you keep his ass there and keep him because I'm on my way. She gets there and she's like, hey, where your son at? Talking to the stepdaddy, and the stepdaddy is like, oh hell. He goes in, he's like, James, she's here. And he's like, she who? And she's like, the main bee, the main bee. And they all like, oh my gosh. And even the stepdaddy say, oh, here we go. There goes my day. They just know when she come in, it's a complete Texas tornado, a Texas hurricane. So of course, instead of her just getting down to the nitty gritty about the test, she like, hey, so yeah, you messing with her. You know what I'm saying? You talking to her, she want to start arguing. And I'm like, you already know the answer to everything that you asking him about. You already know that he using or he doing something. You already know that he messing with that freaking Alex. You know every freaking answer to every question, but you just, for whatever reason, want to hear it from toothless tobacco mouth fool. Oh my gosh. And they had the audacity to show his freaking toothless tobacco mouth smiling in the confessional, and I almost threw up. It was disgusting. I said, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Like, why production? Why? Why did you have to do that? So at that point, she sits down And he's like, you gonna sit up there and open up the results? She's like, why? You don't care. You don't care. You just doing what the heck you want to do. You're being trifling. And he sits up there and tells production that he ain't messing with Alex. He ain't slept with Alex. And production's like, are you a good liar? Of course he's a good liar. He's a former addict or even still an addict. Of course he's a good liar. And he said, I'm absolutely a good liar. And that's when he literally showed us all of his freaking routed. I just corrupted that rotten mouth. I didn't know what to describe when it came to that freaking mouth of his. And he laughing like it's cute. She says in a confessional, Brooke says that JK OD'd one point and he was unalived on the hospital table 3 times. 3 times. And I'm like, that's a sad situation when you literally have gone through that and you still ain't doing better. But the problem is they live in probably the most hillbilly town there is. There's probably nothing else better to do. I'm wondering if maybe he went to like a bigger city where there's more stuff going on. Maybe he would be better. But again, an addict is going to be an addict. So if they craving it, they going to find it anywhere. So then at that point, she ends up opening up the test results and we find out she is not freaking pregnant. He ain't the pappy. So at that point, he said, well, I dodged the bullet. And even the stepfather was like, you're dang on right you did. So then she starts to cry. She cries and then she runs into the bathroom, and then he, in all of his big belly glory, when I tell you that man got a big belly within a matter of months since he's been out, when I tell you he looked pregnant more than her and Alex combined, he looked like he about 9 months pregnant. He goes into the bathroom and she crying and he's like, I love you. You know I love you, right? And she started crying and looking at him with her eyes, with her bad mascara and eyeliner. She wore eyeliner like it's the 1980s. The eyeliner we used to wear that was on the outside of your eye. Yeah, she wearing that type of eyeliner. And he was like, look, I mean, at the end of the day, I love you. You know that. He was like, but, hey, help me help you. And I said, did this fool just say to her, help me help you? And he is dozing off and sounding like he on a buzz. What you mean, help me help you? Both of y'all messed up. So then they go back into the living room and the mama straight up says, hey, did you F Alex? And he's like, nah. You sure about that? You telling the truth? Yeah. All right, well, let us get this straight. Y'all gonna do a reset, okay? Y'all gonna do a reset and move forward. And then she says, I'm rooting for both of you. Stop lying. I'm so sick of that. Look, let's be real. Stop telling people you rooting for them. I'm booing for you. Boo, boo, boo. I am booing for you. I am not rooting for you. Y'all don't need to be together. Why would you even say you're rooting for them when they clearly disregarded everything you said about wearing protection and making sure they got their stuff together? The mama just is crazy. And then she asked him in the confessional if he used it, and he straight up go off and cuss at his mama. I said, what is going on here? Why would you ask me that? You asked me beep, beep. I mean, all of these beeps that he cussing and fussing. And she said, watch your language. And he's like, man, I'm out here. I ain't got time for this. The ultimate disrespect. Sir, if you're going to disrespect your mama like that, then get out of your mama's house. And she was like, where did I go wrong? Where did he go wrong? Maybe a lack of discipline, because typically you don't find that many sons or daughters who respect their parents dropping F-bombs and curse bombs like that. I don't know. But I know that if he's that comfortable, then he needs to be that comfortable finding his own place. All right? So at that point, they sit up there and do this so-called reset. All right. And he walks her out to the car. And he's like, I love you. Call me and let me know when you get home. Hey, you know I'm going to marry you one day, right? Whew, Lord have mercy. Then we see him talking to Alex in the confessional. And I had to capture this moment because literally she says, I mean, what? You'll probably be back tomorrow. Exactly. Alex already knows he's not going anywhere. And why would he? I mean, he can get free nookie from you, free nookie from Brooke. And y'all keep saying that he has a heart of gold and y'all trying to be super saver hoe to an addict. So with that being said, I'm going to move on. Yeah. I need a moment, y'all. Let me take a drink. Quick. Damodrick. And Jawalia Jumanji, aka Felicia from Friday. I wish I could do my little sound bites, but they get on my nerves. Whoo, it's a lot. Okay, so we back at this so-called baby's party. And of course, they going back and forth. And she says, look, you want to play with my feelings and then give me this petty money. And he said, oh yeah, I see your feelings is coming out. And I'm like, what do you expect, sir? You going back and forth between these women, but he says he don't care about her feelings. And it didn't work then and it ain't gonna work now. And I'm like, yeah, but what was then? You say it ain't gonna work then. Then was yesterday, maybe? And that's her problem. Then was yesterday. So then at that point, he says, at the moment, I am not cheating on Quiana. The moment is over. The moment is over. Bang, bang, bang. At the moment, he really meant a moment. Within a snap, he will be back at Joalia's house getting his freak on. So then at that point, Jawalia, she sits up there and says, you know what? You can go. All right. You can leave. But then, as much as she sits up there and tells him before that, yeah, you better not come and mess up my son's party, she ends up messing up her own son's party. She takes her kids from their own party and says, we about to go. And so then at that point, the stepmama come in. And when I tell you the back and forth between the stepmama and her, baby, that stepmama was screaming so loud, I had to turn down my TV. I said, good grief. She is loud as I don't know what. So she was like, he ain't about to play with my feelings. We about to go. And so the stepmama, who is clearly Team Quiana, she's going off and she was like, he ain't did nothing to you. He just trying to be here for his kids. The daddy ain't saying nothing because he already know he got a sweet D Willie for a son. He already done sat up there and said he got a sweet D because he already know who his son is. See, all of them are enablers. His daddy is an enabler. His stepmom is an enabler. And guess what? Jawalia and Quiana are also enabling him too. They all are enabling this man to do what he is doing. So they going back and forth while the daddy telling the freaking stepmama to chill because she was like, if I do have the girls coming around or women coming around or whatever the case may be to sit up there and have the kids around, that's okay because that's my husband. And so at that point, Jawalia Jumanji is like, I ain't bitter. And I'm like, girl, you're bitter. You bitter. See, you thought that country cooch was going to save your family. And it didn't. Okay. You're bitter. So then she sits up there. And I feel like, honestly, the more upset she got, the more her wig was shifting. and lifting, you started seeing the back of her hair, her real hair from that platinum wig. Every time she started to get more upset, I was like, girl, the braids, the hair is coming from the back. I see it. I see it. Like, you really need to go at this point because I feel like your wig, you about to blow your top. So then she's like, I ain't bitter. I ain't bitter. He left me a long time ago. And he left me and the kids nothing. And she was like, we still effing and we still gonna F. Then she proceeds to tell us that she don't know how many times they done slept together, but she knows it's been over 50 times. And mind you, he has been out for only 4 months. The father tries to go out and talk to her and says, the kids, what about his actual presents? And she said, they got toys at home. I don't want it. Okay, bitter baby mama. Those toys are for the kids. And at the end of the day, it's not about you saying you don't want them. It's for the kids. So this is an example of what they were saying in the first place. But yeah, okay. So then at that point, he ends up trying to calm her down, but it doesn't happen. And so you see the not the stepdad, the stepmama and the daddy trying to explain what Jawalia's problem is. Jawalia's problem is also you guys as well. And Jawalia is her own problem also, because no one told you to give up your nookie every single time that man comes around. See, you can't sit up there and blame him when he has shown you who he is. The first time we saw you on freaking FaceTime with his sister, she said that she has had other women already come to her about Damodrick. You know what time it is. And yet you still want to sit up there and have freaky tales with him every chance he gets when he want to knock on your door. Ma'am, you want this to stop? You shut it down. And she still said they gonna continue to have freaky tales. So you're playing yourself, idiot. Point blank, period. So then we actually see Quiana and Damodrick's actual cousin sit up there and have a conversation. And she even says, he keeps saying that he has to go over there at night to put his kids to sleep. And even his own cousin is like, you don't believe that, right? Like, you don't believe that. And she was like, I'm not feeling that whole situation. But he ends up calling her and saying, come pick me up from the party because this has completely gone left. And she goes and picks him up. And Jawalia Jumanji ends up leaving and driving off with that car with a whole different passenger seat. Did y'all see the passenger seat in the back was silver and the rest of the car was a dark gray? Bless her heart. But moving on. So next thing you know, we see Damodrick. He's washing Quiana's car. Mind you, Quiana's car and Quiana's house. And so he was like, I'm going to tell you right now, my son's party got messed up. She trying to help him wash her car. And he was like, I'm so upset about that. And so he was like, she need to go to the psych ward. She crazy. She's sitting up there talking about something. We still freaking it up. We still having freaky tales 7 days ago, 7 days. And she keeps screaming 7 days, 7 days. And he laughing like it's funny. Meanwhile, Quiana giving him that mean side eye because she already know the truth. That girl ain't lying. And so she was like, well, why would she say that? I mean, why would she just say that? I don't know why she would say that. And so, of course, like any guilty person, he gets defensive. And so at that point, she was like, I mean, that just seems so random for her to say. And he was like, you know what? At the end of the day, y'all the petty ones. Y'all the petty ones. Because it should be about the kids, but y'all the ones who being petty. I can't have peace on either side. Yeah, you getting the peace all right. You getting a piece of pleasure from both sides. A piece of pleasure and pimping both sides. That's exactly what you getting. So then she started asking more questions. He don't like the fact that she's catching on to the fact that, yeah, no, you know what? I don't think he doesn't like the fact that she's catching on. He doesn't like the fact that she actually is willing to ask the questions. See, he wants to be able to cheat in peace. And honestly, Quiana, if you still gonna want to be with this man, let him cheat in peace because he's going to cheat. So he gets annoyed. He was like, man, take your A back in the house because you ain't doing nothing anyways. Take your A back into your house while he washes your car. This man has nothing without these women. He will only be able to go to his daddy's house if the daddy would even allow him to stay there. And yet both of y'all idiots are still willing to try to fight for this fool. He barely has employment. He has nothing. And again, doesn't he have 6 kids? Didn't we find that out the first season that this man has 6 kids with multiple baby mamas? Like, he ain't a prize. But again, this is what happens when you're dealing with insecure women who are willing to have a piece of a man than no man at all. That he feels like he's entitled to do whatever, whenever, and when you question him about what he's doing, he does this. So, in a nutshell, yeah, I don't feel bad for you. I don't. I don't feel bad for you. You played yourself. Jawalia, Jumanji, Felicia, played yourself. Quiana, Kiki, Qui, played yourself. The other baby mamas who were at least smart enough not to be on this show, played yourself. And he's going to continue to do what he's doing because y'all are willing to deal with it. Yeah, you're willing to deal with it. Dummies. With that being said, that is my review on the Ratchet circus that we know as Love After Lockup. Now, the reality is, I'm going to need to know if y'all want me to continue the lives. I can probably do a live every other week at this point, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Lives, I have to give an hour of dedication. I cannot multitask because, of course, I'm interacting with you guys via live versus pre-recording. I can edit while I'm doing other things. But again, it's about my crew. So if my crew wants lives, I need for y'all to come, show up and show out on these lives, okay? Because honestly, I like my little pre-recordings and me having my little editing skills. But again, it's about what y'all want for y'all entertainment. If y'all want lives, you got to keep coming and keep hitting that like button. So it says next week is the surveillance. Yeah, children probably are siblings and cut. Ooh, Sean. Oh, Lord. That is one thing I'd be afraid about with these small towns and cities. Like, do you even know who you freaking it with? Oh, my gosh. Well, the problem with only if the episode is really good, it depends on that subjective. Some people may think this episode wasn't that good. They would give it an F. So it really would depend on me, I guess, if I feel like if it's really good or not, because a lot of people may not think what I may think, someone else may not think. I love the lies, but hey, I understand when you have a lot on your plate. I appreciate that. So yeah, so it says, why is Damodrick getting defensive even though he brought up the comments that because see, let me tell you what them players do. The players try to bring up stuff as if I bring it up, that means it should be downplayed because if I'm bringing it up, why would I bring up something if I'm guilty of it? Because you think you're slick. You think you're slick by bringing it up. Well, why would I bring it up if I'm guilty? Because you think bringing it up would mean that she's just going to leave it alone because you're laughing about it. So she'll laugh it off too. She'll laugh it off too. My editing game has always been sharp. And I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I'm confident in that situation. My editing games have always been sharp. I just sometimes haven't had the time or the fact that people enjoy my lives more. But the editing game has always been on point. But I've had to do that lately because of the things that I have on my plate. You do what works for you, but I like the pre-recorded too. I appreciate that. Deflection, of course. But y'all know we done dealt with the ain't-ish dudes or females before where they think bringing it up means that takes them out of the hot seat because why would I bring it up if I'm really doing it? You know what I'm saying? Like y'all know that game. And that's what he tried to do. And he didn't like the fact that she was like, well, let me ask you some questions about what you just brought up. Why would she say that? And then he's like, see, I can't get no peace from none of y'all. You don't deserve peace. You don't deserve peace. Why do you deserve it? Not the cedar mop. Not the cedar. Y'all said he was mopping. Am I bougie when I say I don't wash my own car? I take it to the car wash. I thought what he was using was fine. But again, for y'all who know like the skill set of car washing, baby, I don't know. I thought he was doing a good job, but I don't wash my car. Either I have a man wash my car or I take it to the car wash. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having confidence in your skills. And that's one thing about it. Like, I feel like my editing skills is good. I just, again, I go with what my crew wants. But at the same time, you know, I just have a lot on my plate right now. So sometimes the pre-recording is easier and I can get it done. And again, it's a quick 20 minutes. Some people don't want to listen to a 1 hour live. That's why I appreciate my crew who likes the lives, because y'all stay from beginning to end. You know, you stay from beginning to end. So I appreciate that. So yeah, but let me see what you guys are saying. Okay, so let me see. Hold on. But yeah, okay, so it sounds like you guys are pretty much saying, hey, whatever works best for me. It will really depend on, yeah, the time and how much I really want to drill these people. But sometimes my drilling is just so much better pre-recorded. You know what I'm saying? Like when I want to read down and have that little comic relief, the pre-recorded sometimes is better because you know I have all of the little editing things that I want to do to it. Whatever is clever for me. You know what? I love y'all. Stop, Leo. I did not get anyone together. I mean, at the end of the day, I know my skill set. I know my skill set, and there's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't want y'all to downplay y'all selves either. If you know your skill set, you know your skill set, and that's one thing about it. I know my skill set when it comes to my editing. But again, it's also about my views too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about the views. It's not about the subscribers, which I appreciate that I'm getting more subscribers, but it's about the views. So I really have to assess where the views are really coming from. Is it coming from the lives or the pre-recorded? But then at the same time, my OG crew, it depends on what you guys want too. So yeah. Yeah, the images and sound effects. Yeah. Is that we know. Y'all know I love y'all down. Y'all know I love y'all down. Especially, you know, my OGs, and pretty much what I'm seeing in the chat is a lot of my OGs. Y'all been here since day one, or at least close to day one. So y'all know I love y'all down. It'll be a sad day for Damodrick if the spirit of the Lord that Quiana and Jawalia. Yes, and that's what needs to happen. Quiana and Jawalia, Jumanji, Felicia, they need to get together. But see, the problem is both of these women are insecure. They're insecure. And a piece of a man is better than no man at all. They really act like he is the only man that is in Lubbock, Texas. And that is a problem for me. But if they really got the confidence to say, I can do bad all by myself, and I'm a clink clink my poom poom until the right man comes along who's worthy of it, where's the Damodrick gonna be? On his daddy's couch. On his daddy's couch. That's exactly where he's going to be. And he deserves to be on his daddy's couch at this point. He ain't bringing nothing to the table but that peen. I would like to know how much he's actually contributing to Quiana's house. Does he even babysit them kids? You know I'm going to keep on saying it the wrong way, Sean. I ain't going to never say it the right way because I probably don't even want it. I don't even care to say it the right way. Lil Book. Bucky, Lil Book. They won't learn until they're playing hot potato. Oof. Not the oof. You ain't lying about that though. And that may be what it takes. But if they actually can take some penicillin to clear it up, they may not care about that either. Same with JK. JK too. I just don't understand it. Quiana needs to run before she gets pregnant by this man. Ain't that the truth? Damodrick going back to jail too. He keyed that girl's car up. Apparently, allegedly, I'm not gonna say what's true and what's not true. One thing about it, if she talking about the whole slashing tires and the dumb hoe on the car and all of this stuff, it's a lot going on over there. I just know they getting on my nerves and they all stupid. They all stupid, but the daddy also think it's cute. Talking about get your house in order. Get your house in order. You think saying that is gonna get his house in order? And first of all, what do you mean get his house in order? What house? He ain't got no house. That's Quiana's house. But anywho, love y'all. We Texas up here is rolling, yeah, for real. Cause I ain't gonna never say it correctly. I ain't gonna never say. A lot of people think that Jumanji did it herself. I don't put it past her because to me, the way that she was upset and the fact that she kept saying you messing with my feelings, it to me it was almost like she wanted him to dump Quiana and come back to her. It wasn't about the tires at that point nor the car. Shoot, as far as I see it, the dumb hoe may have made the car look even better. That car is on the struggle mode. Okay? Dumb hoe may have brightened up someone's day. Because that car ain't brightened up no one else. Baby, I saw that silver passenger side door and the rest was a whole different color. I don't know where she got that car, but bless her heart, as long as it runs and her kids can get back and forth safely, I guess that's all that matters. But that should tell you right there what type of man you got, because no man who is really worth anything and is a real man will want his baby mama in a car like that. Period. No man wants his baby mama in a car like that. Like, if you're going to deal with this fool, at least let him have you in a better financial situation. But it sounds like y'all taking care of him. So on that note, you guys, love y'all. We'll figure out for next week if I'm going to do another live or if I'm going to do pre-recorded. Either way, I'm hoping that you are entertained and you enjoy the lives or the pre-recorded. I hope you do. Y'all know I love y'all down for supporting me. Really trying to grow the channel, but grow it more so with my viewership, more than anything. And so that's why I'm really trying to assess what's better, these longer lives or the shorter pre-recordeds. I missed the different color doors. Yeah, look at it when she sped off after she ruined her child's party. There was a mismatched door there. Yeah, it was a mismatched door. That car is the true definition of a Pinto, okay? A Pinto. But baby, she had all of that stuff in her car for her business. She claimed that business is very lucrative. Her business is makeup, right? Yeah, you know what? Let me shut up. Let me shut up. I don't understand these people who get on these shows and they don't advertise their skill set. Okay, fine, I'm not gonna shut up. I'm gonna say it. If you do makeup for a living, I'm gonna need your face to be beat down every time you get on the freaking show, to the point where people will be knocking on your door, Instagramming you, DMing you like, I need you for a session here in Lubbock, Texas. I'm not impressed with the makeup. I mean, what she's done on her own face, I can do that. I mean, all it does look like is foundation. I didn't really see that much to it, period. I mean, unless I'm not understanding the makeup, maybe she had more, but I have seen better YouTube videos. And I'm like, if you are trying to showcase you being able to do makeup, baby, you better slay. You better slay. So then that way, at least what you can get out of this, besides looking bitter and crazy over this man, is that you can get your business going. Okay? Yeah. Okay? Because if we're so focused on your wigs versus your makeup, that's a problem. It's a problem. All right, y'all. I got to go, my crew. I love y'all. I hope you have an amazing week. Don't let anyone mess up your week. Stay positive. Stay productive. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.